Welcome back. Nowhere can you get music like this.
Only with Keon.
Only with Keon. Keon had to make sure.
Your vote is your voice?
Yes.
Welcome back.
Yes.
All right. WNOV 860 AM radio. We
She
are
keeping me in
here.
line. Thank you so much. We have a couple callers that are on hold. Caller, you are on the line.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Hi. Mayor Pratt, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
And I tell you, just good to hear your voice today. But I was calling in to let everybody know at my poll I was 427. And
All right.
Where
you at?
A lot. Mm-hmm. I was at the old 3050 school. I don't know the new name of it.
Okay.
It's on Cortland and 35th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ward
Okay, sure.
60, Ward 64,
No.
7th District.
Oh, yeah, the 7th District,
7th
right up
okay.
up Hampton. It's
right.
It's
Right
south
up,
of Hampton.
Right. And I was 427. And I just want to say one other thing. You know, I want us to know that we have a lot of important people in our community who serve in positions, higher positions that we'll never know it if we don't keep talking about it, you know, because I like Spencer Kies. Isaac Kies was a good server in the community, and he served with a lot of other African-American men who were good for the city. And if we don't tell those stories and talk about where we come from, we won't know. People won't know.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You know, and you got to do services. You've done good service. I voted for you. Every time you were on the ballot, I voted for everybody. And I also want to thank y'all for giving me this last judge that I didn't know anything about, and she had an opponent. And I was able to vote for her when I got to the polls. So y'all
nice.
keep doing good. Michelle, stay strong, girl, because you all right with me.
Yeah, all right. We like to hear that. Thank you so much. We have another caller we'll get to right now. Caller, you are on with us all here in studio on this special edition.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We're good.
I've been in and out the car all day, but when I got in and heard these two brothers on here, I had to get in and call in, man. This is Brother Ken Hughes, and I wanted to thank both of you guys. I wanted to thank Mayor Pratt for, I had an aunt, Olivia Justice. She passed away a while back. But, man, you couldn't tell her nothing about you. She thought you was the president then. And when we used to go over there on 19th Street, she used to always talk about you. That's my alderman. Okay. And you used to be out. I remember being a young man, seeing you out, riding through the district. Man, for real, getting out, shoveling snow yourself. Yeah. You stayed on top of things, and the residents didn't have to call because you was out there. Right. And so I wanted to thank you for that. And for Mr. Cobbs, I remember when I was a young man, too, I had a problem with some neighbors, and I was a hothead then. I was much younger, and I was going to go about it the wrong way, and then you got me the help I needed, and we took care of that situation, man. So I love both of you brothers, and I also wanted to say this. Why don't y'all come up with a school, like a school for politics, to kind of groom and raise up some young brothers and sisters to pass the torch to? You know, I think that's important in our community. So I'm going to hang up and listen. Y'all be blessed. And, Cos, brother, I did vote for you. And, Pratt, if you was on the ballot, I would have voted for you, too, man. God bless you guys, man. Y'all keep up the good work.
Hey, we want to thank you because we wouldn't have a career without people like you. You know, I, like you, Marvin earlier mentioned that I was the only elected official who helped him in his first race. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I never regretted that. I took some heat for it, but I never regretted it because, you know, he became Common Council president. And before that, he was the chair of Finance Committee. So, you know, Marvin Pratt, excelled. And then he became mayor, and he's the only African-American elected official who has been chair of Finance, has been the Common Council president, has been mayor, and has been county exec. Mm-hmm, so I have never regretted my decision to help that brother.
Thank you, Spence. Thank you. Let me say, too, you know, a little history. I remember the first time that Polly Williams ran for office.
All right.
I lived 2800 block on North 19th Street, and I remember going up and down the block with her, introducing her to people on my block. And after that, she got me involved in the SDC area council because she was on the area council. And so that was another, she kind of turned me on to that, and I got more involved. And so, there's a lot of history with a number of us who have been there that a number of people may not know. And on the point on the brother who called, I used to always say you run for office, and after you're elected, you keep running.
Right.
In other words, you politic all the time. You campaign all the time, and so I used to do that a lot. You campaign all the time, and I think it's representative of where folks, the high esteem that people have for the city treasurer, that Spencer was. I think the only he's the highest elected African American person in city government. And usually in other cities, they kind of reserve one of those spots, comptroller, treasurer, usually if they have a deputy mayor or a city attorney, usually one of those people is the African American person. But that hasn't happened here until Spencer ran for the office and won the office.
Nice.
And trying to hold on. So y'all keep coming out to vote today, okay?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Please make sure you come out. And Mayor Pratt, I just want to say, part of what you just shared with me just hits home to what I do every day and making sure that you mentor the young. So sharing the story of how our great sister Polly walked you through spaces and how you walked her through spaces. It demonstrates that mentorship doesn't necessarily have to come from a position of hierarchy.
That's right.
Our peers, we can mentor each other. And as we look at our political system and the positions that are available to us and how much we need to ensure that we're mentoring that next generation, that's very, very important.
Yeah, and I'm going to buy into, they have a couple of organizations, a couple of PACs out there right now who I think, I question their long-term commitment to the African American community.
Yes.
Insofar as the head of it is it may call themselves progressive or liberal, but I don't know if they have the African Americans community long range at hand. I mean, and that they feel as strongly as maybe if it was headed by an African American person.
Right.
But they didn't consider that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be even more specific.
Yes, please.
I do not think that Lee Holloway, or any other person who've been in public office and would run and come in third, such as the person, I'm going to say Marina Dimitrievich, that they would be put over an organization like the Wisconsin Working Families, whatever it's called.
Right.
And I kind of question where they're coming from insofar as identifying and picking out African American leaders.
And
candidates.
I'll piggyback on that because I'm fairly still new to the whole realm of politics. It's been about 5 years that I've been really immersed in it, in the trenches of it. And I participated in some of those trainings. So when that caller said that, that's something that really is a passion and desire that I want to see in our community, that we have an incubator of some sort, that we groom and we train our own candidates that represent our community, because the narrative is different, Mayor Pratt. In the trainings that I participated in, the individuals thought that they were teaching strategies that help the African American community, but when I used those strategies in my community, it didn't fit. And my whole premise was, this does not reflect what I believe, and therefore I can't even pick it up. And unfortunately, it cost me an election that I ran because I couldn't take the talking points that were presented to me by this training program. And I'm going to say it was DEM team. I'm just going to put it out there. The tactics and the strategies of the progressive, quote unquote, movement. It didn't fit my community. I'm like, look, I grew up in my community. I grew up black.
Right.
So I think I know a little bit just a little bit. I mean, you may know a little bit about this political thing, but you can't tell me nothing about my blackness. And because of what I know about my blackness, I know that this measure, this water you want me to tote, it doesn't fit for my community. And because we don't have an infrastructure in place, I only had a handful of people that I could turn to and say, I need some structure, I need some guidance, I need some wisdom as to how we craft this differently because it doesn't fit us. And hopefully my prayer is that this cleansing of our cycle, our election cycle here will birth those things for us, that it'll re-energize the spirit that led you, Mayor Pratt, that led you, Senator Cox, that led so many people that marched, that were diligent, that were committed, that it rebirths, re-energize you all to just wrap your hands, wrap your energy, wrap your wisdom, your thoughts around what we can do and help us do it. Because the reality of the matter is we can't do this on our own. We need an intergenerational approach. We need a approach that touches all socioeconomic statuses. And in our community, we have that.
Right.
We have very, very wealthy people on the same block of some of the most impoverished. And that's because our people don't want to leave us. We don't want to leave each other. We are the only thing supporting us.
Right.
When we open a black-owned business in Milwaukee, don't nobody come from Brookfield and support it.
That's right.
We support that business right here. And in all things that are happening for us, it is us that maintain and sustain it. And so I hope that this period, once it passes, I'm excited, y'all.
Exactly.
I think I told y'all how elections, how they do me, just because I've seen behind the curtain,
right?
And I know the orchestration that's happening to throw us off, to keep us at a level that we can't do anything but tread water all our dang on life. And I'm tired of it. I don't want my kids treading water. That's why I work so diligently. That's why the radio program is here an extra however many hours a day, because we don't want to tread in water anymore. We need to be grounded. We need to be solid. We need to be firm on what it is that we're going to do in our community. We need to move in that direction without hesitation.
Yes.
And we need to do it confidently that this piece of sand that we move today is going to create a mountain, a mole, a mountain, a skyscraper, whatever we need to create for the future.
Right.
Y'all get my point.
We got it. And
I wish y'all could see her as she expresses herself. She's putting every emotion that she can into this, and she means it.
She does. It's coming from the heart.
It is coming from the heart, and I ran for office. And many people know this. Even when I did it, I did it because it was a passion to see our people have representation that is genuine, that is true, that is going to be committed to our issues. It's not about me. It should not be about any electeds.
Right.
If it's about you, you're not for us.
Yeah.
Well, that is a mouthful. I'm sorry, Mayor.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say, and oftentimes organizations such as one I mentioned, they may be good, but they always want you to be lockstep.
And see, that's exactly where I
They
wanted
want you
to
to be
go,
lockstep.
to follow up on that.
In other words, you can't veer too far off the plantation.
Right.
Right. That's
you know what?
It
Now
is.
that's
And I
that
know they're
word.
strong.
That's what
that
it
word.
is.
So look at your narrative and look at these organizations for which their PACs or whatever they are who have a slate of candidates or who are backing different candidates, and realize that, we all have the opportunity to make our own decision, to go and do your research and to go and look at everything, before you make a decision. So thank you for listening to Your Vote is Your Voice today, our special Election Day edition. And I believe we have a caller. So let's go ahead and grab this caller.
Hello?
Yes, welcome.
Hello.
Yes, this is Senator Taylor, and I wanted to call and just say one thing.
Hey, Senator.
Hey, I wanted to call and say amen, and that's all I need to say.
Hey, man.
Well, okay, so that doesn't seem possible. I don't believe I've ever been in a space where the senator was present, whether physically or verbally, even in spirit, and I just heard one word come out. So come on, Senator, give me more than that. That doesn't work.
I've heard you in church stretch out an amen longer than that.
Okay.
I just need to say, but Senator, Treasurer Cobb, and Mayor Pratt, the reason, y'all, I don't know if y'all know the story about the reason I ran for office is because of exactly what a caller said earlier. Watch that man right there
Yes.
be elected, be adored in this community. So all I need to say behind all that has been said is amen.
All right.
Thank you.
And hallelujah.
That's it. That's it. It has really been said. So I'm going to hang up and keep listening, but I needed to just put my amen on it because it was just good talk. It was just right on.
Thank
right
you,
on time.
Senator.
Thank y'all.
And remember, anyone else, you can call in. We're at 414-444-5252. Your vote is your, what did I say?
Your vote is your voice.
5250. Okay, Kia. Y'all got me excited too. You know, the number is 414-444-5250. Let your voice be heard.
Great. Continue to listen on WNOV 860 The Voice.
They didn't want him to get credit. Could you hold that point, Kurt? We have another caller.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay.
I think the Republican Party of Wisconsin has done an outstanding job. You guys can't lean so less on some of these things. And I understand you don't like the Republican Party, but you're not going to sit here and say that they aren't doing a decent job. I mean, if you just look at the numbers and the talking points that I've looked at, I think, Governor Walker has done an amazing job. And, I don't always agree.
Is this Mr. Orlando Orange?
No, but
we got a second.
You got a second one? Okay.
Yeah. No, this isn't Orlando Owens. This is Jamariquan Titler. I'm young. I've done all my research. I'm actually a great volunteer for the Republican Party of Wisconsin. I'm pretty involved in this election here. And from my opinion, I think Governor Walker is going to win. I don't think someone who was with Jim Doyle and has such a bad reputation with Jim Doyle needs to be voted back into office.
Oh, no. You kidding? I can't even let you go there with that noise.
Well, look.
No. We're voting for Mary Burke. We're not voting for Jim Doyle. And you guys are so busy going after Jim Doyle that you forgot you got a better candidate than Mary Burke.
She agrees with all the policies.
And Scott Walker is a crook from day one.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he is. He down in the county when he's county exec. He's the one that used the email system that he claimed he didn't even know existed.
Scott Walker is a wonderful
6 people
governor.
went to jail because of Scott Walker because he's trying to support his agenda.
We don't have to bash a guy.
No, you don't bash him. You tell the truth about it. You just tell the truth about it.
No, I'm telling the truth. Now he's a good governor. That's the truth. The fact.
Well, he is a governor. I'll give you that. That's the truth.
And he's a bad governor.
Scott Walker,
he's a bad governor
against the Republican Party of Wisconsin. I've listened to the radio. There's been a lot of Republican Party this, Republican Party that. And all of this talk about how Scott Walker doesn't like the black community and he doesn't like the poor people.
Look, he don't even like you. You don't even understand. The fact is that he hates your guts, and you're out here promoting and pushing somebody who really don't like you.
How do you know that?
You black.
That's what. So I thought y'all were supposed to be the loving kind. You're gonna judge them.
No, I'm telling you
they
how Scott Walker feels about you.
He hates me because I'm black?
He don't like you.
I've met the governor. I've shook hands with the governor. I've taken pictures with the governor. Congressman Paul Ryan. Hey, these guys, these are good individuals.
They used to do that with field hands too. They let the field hands sometimes eat in the kitchen.
And they pat you on the top, and they pat you on the head and everything like that.
Governor Walker
that don't mean they like you
guys. If Governor Walker hates black people, then you guys hate white people. How can you sit and judge somebody? And tell how he feels. How do you know how he feels? Has he come to you and publicly said, "Hey, I do not like those young black people. I don't like the poor"? Has he said that? Mary Burke is the top 1%er, isn't she?
You must be relatively young. I don't have anything against young people at all.
Okay.
But one of the problems with young people, they don't have enough experience at knowing what has happened in the past. I have never paid attention to it.
Okay.
Hey, I paid enough attention.
Hey, boss, we sick?
Thank you, sir, for your call. We appreciate it.
That was the legendary Annette Polly Williams 2 years ago here on 860 AM WNOV The Voice. We thought we would be remiss if we did not honor her today. We definitely miss her. We miss her spirit. We miss her voice. We miss the work that she did and continued to do up until the time of her passing here in the community. Ms. Williams actually served 10 terms in the state legislature as a, representative for Wisconsin, and she's the longest serving black female in the state of Wisconsin. So we wanted to make sure that we remembered Polly on today, and that was a clip, as you can remember, and everyone who knows her knew that she didn't bite her tongue and always told it exactly how she saw it. We are back in the studio. I'm Ptosha Davis here. We also have LaToya Sykes, who's still here in the studio with us, and Bria Grant. And we decided to shift out the two gentlemen that were here, and we shifted in two other gentlemen. We have Michael Holt joining us. How are you doing, Michael?
Oh, I'm doing excellent. How are you doing today?
I'm good. And we also have Raheem Islam, a host of Universally Speaking. How you doing, Raheem?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I feel good just amongst this crew. I don't have to be the heavy one.
You don't have to do heavy lifting today?
I just lay back. Mike's here. I can just lay back now.
And be like, I say.
I can come on the back end.
We have some callers that have been holding. Callers, thank you for your patience. We will take one now. You have a question or a comment?
Oh, this is me?
Yes.
Oh man, I was so into the program, was listening. Bria, I got a question for you. When are you going to run for another office, or how may I help you? Help you run. Also, how may I help you? Invite to one of your other sermons.
We will be taking. We'll be passing the plate for Bria a little bit later in the lobby.
Oh, okay, yeah, because tell her. And next time she's gonna preach on the radio, make sure she invites me.
As flattered and honored as I am, is when individuals request me to run for office. That's a lot of work. Running for office is not simple. It's not I'm just going to get out here and talk to people. You have to have dollars. You have to have a team. You have to have a strong infrastructure. So it's a lot of work. So I don't see myself doing that anytime soon.
Well, but she hasn't said no, so we're going to just take it. She said not right now. We have another caller that's holding. Thank you, caller. You have a question or a comment?
I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Ethel Massey Tate, and I know some of your panel people that are there. And it was real sad to hear the young man call in, because I was at the Breakfast House, a community-based organization, and we have seen community-based organizations just deteriorate, go away. They were based on block clubs. They were based on community participation. We knew who was going to run. We got out and supported them. The young man is calling in and talking about Republicans or this and that and the other. He don't have a clue. He ain't got a clue.
Ma'am, you're referring to the clip that we played from 2014?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he don't have a clue as, when you're trying to say Republicans did anything for you. Anybody that's defending Scott Walker, either he insane or he don't know no better.
Well, see, that's why you can't argue with ignorance. So you just got to just say, God bless you, and keep it moving.
Yeah, and then what we need to do is to train our communities the way we did in the past. They need some of the old school people like Marvin and Mr. Cox and all the other people to come out and teach our young people how to do it, because I'm finding I'm 65 now, and our meetings used to have 80 and 90-year-old people in them that had been through the struggle. And you have to go through the struggle, and we need to train our young people what they should be doing in order to be leaders in our community.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your call, and thank you for the work that you've done in the community, and we appreciate you. So I know that, Michael, you and Raheem have a lot that you all feel and think and write. So we're going to let some of this feminine energy back up and let you guys step up to the mic for a moment. Don't rush.
One defining thing. I'll tell you the one similarity beyond our black nationalist philosophy is that we are long-winded. Between his column and my column,
ain't no paper, ain't no trees.
I've been trying for 40 years to shorten that column up.
and then somebody came along that understood your pain and write just as long as you did.
Hey, Mike, you know my excuse is I'm not a writer, so I can just, I'm not trained like you are in writing, and so
they train us to write short.
Well, I know, but I can.
He missed the class.
But I missed it completely. I didn't even go to that school, so I could just say whatever I want to say, and unfortunately or fortunately for me, the information. It's just I want to promote and push people to just think about some things and then go study on their own.
Yeah, and I'll throw this in there as a possible rationale. In October 1st, 2014, I had some kind of infection and I ended up going to the hospital. And October 2nd, the physicians brought in the family and said that they should pull the plug. And fortunately for me, my sister's my minister, my brother-in-law's pastor, my brother's a minister, my mother's a minister, my two cousins a minister, my uncle's a minister. So they all got around me and started this prayer vigil and prayed me out of it. And I ended up spending 7 months in the hospital, regardless, and I'm walking around with a cane, but I've evolved because I left the hospital in a wheelchair and I went to a walker, put some lights on it, put a Black Liberation flag on it and stuff, and now I'm walking around with a cane. So I'll be running with Raheem pretty soon. But, one of the things that hit me, two things that are appropriate right now. Howard Fuller came to visit me one day and told me that Polly had died. And if I wasn't in the hospital, I probably would have went to the hospital because Polly and I were very, very close. I was one of her lieutenants in the school choice army. People don't really understand how that whole thing evolved. And that's one of the things that I do through my writing. I bring up this history so we can know why we are in the predicament we're in today. The school choice movement actually grew out of Polly Williams introducing legislation to carve out a separate black school district. And she did that because our kids were not learning intentionally in the public school system. And prior to that, we had that farce of a school desegregation program, which the white media called an integration program. But anybody who had any common sense knew that the courts could not order integration. They can only order desegregation. And we got the short end of that stick because what they did was they systematically closed up schools in the black community, thereby forcing the black students to be bused to the south sides, where they were often met by Nazis and Klansmen walking around with baseball bats. Suspension rate went up 600% the first year. They were throwing black kids out of school because they had Afro picks. They thought those weapons, white people were so afraid and all of that. But the whole thing was a farce. Our first paper came out then, and we declared it was a farce. We supported groups like Blacks for Two-Way Busing, and we supported alternatives. The president of the Milwaukee School Board at that time said in the trial that she opposed school desegregation because the black kids were so uncivilized that they would mistake the water bubblers for urinals and pee in the hallways. This was the president of the school board. The chief of police at the time, Harold Bryant, a big-time bigot, said that he opposed it because all it would do is bust crime across town. So Polly emerged out of that. And when we found out, then they took a school, rebuilt the school we fought for in North Division, and said black kids couldn't attend that school. They was going to move it to 8th and Center so the white kids can get off the bus, go into the school, and not have to walk 3 blocks into the black community. People don't even recognize all this stuff today. So Polly eventually came up with this district, and believe it or not, it got approval from this assembly. Right. Polly worked across the aisle, got some Republicans to vote for it. They said they didn't care. Segregate them black kids. They didn't care. Her thought was, we can educate our own. She goes back to what the boys said and other people said. Marcus Garvey said, you're a fool to let other people educate your kids. So it grew out of that. School choice grew out of that. But incidentally, it says, this historian now, school choice came out of an office on Valete Street called Central Administration. School choice was first introduced. I was the board member of Harambe Community School, the only black parent-owned and operated school. I, along with Virginia Stamper, Sakia Courtney, members of other black schools that were successfully educating these kids, were called into a meeting with Robert S. Peterkin, the superintendent of the Milwaukee Public Schools. He asked us would we work with him on creating a school choice program because the black independent schools were doing what the public schools could not. Now, that's a part of history they keep lying about. It didn't come from the Bradley Foundation, Republican Party. It started with the superintendent of Milwaukee Public Schools. That bill that grew out of that was hijacked by the teachers union. They wanted to fine us, stigmatize us. They had all kind of junk. So we abandoned that and Polly introduced the first original bill. People don't understand that history. You can't understand where you're going until you understand where you came from. You know, now school choice has grown into a monster, but I still support the basic concept because who knows better what to do for our poor black kids than our black parents? Instead of have some white person on Lee Street tell you where your kid has to go to school and then puts him in an inferior school where we now lead the nation in the fewest percentage of black kids who can read at grade level in 4th and 8th grade. The largest gap between white and black academic achievement in the United States of America. So all of those naysayers who talk that yang. Anyway, I said all that to say.
So, Mike, I want to. All right, okay. So we appreciate. Okay, so I wanted to bring us back in. Bring us back in.
But I think let me just because I think Mike, what you're saying is really the foundation which I have put my entire life on. Is we have to understand how we gotten here. And we have to understand we are not just a bunch of people who are pacifists and people who have just laid down and just taken it. We have to be able to understand, the ups, the downs, the core of how we got in this mess, the fights, the struggles, and so that we don't have to repeat things and we can build on those things. And also we can have a better view of how we see things. And one of the views that I talk about all the times is that if you know our history, you will never consider the condition of black man as inferior. You will see him, now we're in a struggle of all struggles, but you will see the strength of the black man as opposed to the portrayal of his weakness. You'll see, the people like Polly and others who were cold-blooded gangster who defied the rationale and the belief by people who were in authority that we were nothing but animals. I mean, you just stated one example, but of many, and I call it institutional structural racism. That how does America really feel about black people? It's embedded in almost everything they do and say. But when people get in positions of power, they can execute, they can implement those things, those beliefs. But we've defended ourselves, and I believe we defended ourselves well. We got a long way to go, but clearly we've survived one of the worst tragedies in modern history, in the Holocaust, the Black Holocaust of black people.
Yeah, gentlemen, we're going to have to take a break, pay some bills. We only got 4.5 hours.
Well, Mike started by how long we write. So we also going to talk along too.
So I want to make sure that we.
But I'm hoping everybody paying attention because
there's a lot of
that information he just shared.
Right.
That's valuable information. So I'm hoping and praying that there are people listening, just like I'm hoping and praying people are reading. But but God willing that this information just don't go over everyone's head and people are actually being able to take it and use it.
Okay, so we're going to take a break, pay some bills. It's a busy day here. We're going to still encourage you to call in 444-5250 to let us know what number you were at the ward that you voted at, if there's any problems or issues. We have people on the ground. This is not just the in-house operation. We have people all over the city that are inspecting and watching and reporting, and we want to thank you. We also want to thank the radio station, Sandra Robinson and Gerald Jones, for giving the community this information and this opportunity today. You're listening to Your Vote is Your Voice, exclusively on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. Welcome back to Your Vote is Your Voice here on 860 AM WNOV. The Voice. We have in the studio with us Michael Holt, Raheem Islam. Is Bria still over there?
Yes, she's on.
Oh. Oh, okay. Bria says she's transitioning. Will you be back, Bria?
I will be back.
Okay, she'll be back. We also have when the chicken is here. Latoya Sykes in the studio. And before we went to break, Michael, I really do, though, in all seriousness, want to get you to share. You've done quite a few articles about the election that's taking place today. And I really want to give you an opportunity to share. You can either, however you want to combine them and share about your thoughts on what's going on, especially with the county executive race. I've read the last two that I thought were just packed full of information that people really need to know when they get ready to make a decision. And so I wanted to give you an opportunity, and then I also wanted to give you and Raheem an opportunity because, I think the mics are going to blow up if both of y'all start talking at the same time. Go ahead.
Well, the articles, they dealt with the race for county exec, but it was really about, they were really about a movement taking place in Milwaukee right up under our eyes that we failed to see. And part of it is being orchestrated by Chris Larson, who wants to be the conductor on the Black Freedom Train and has been manipulating politics right up under our noses. And the other part is being perpetrated by this organization that Marvin Pratt alluded to. I renamed the organization. It's supposedly the Wisconsin Working Families Party, but it's really the White Working Families Party because their agenda does not bode well for us. It's part of this old patronizing ideology where some white folks know what's best for us, and through it, the issues will never be about black empowerment. They will only be about making black folks comfortable in poverty while they get all of the poverty dollars. And that really undermines a lot of what's going on. Chris Larson, as I talked about in the first article, and nobody has disputed anything I've said in the article, he's come along and put people in office. He's used his party and his resources, his training, to put some black folks in office who are now beholden to him and not the community they supposedly serve. To give you an idea of what's going on, he put a couple of people in office and got rid of one of the most effective black representatives who wouldn't bend over for him, Jason Fields, who, if you look at the records, had more legislation passed than any state representative, even under control by the Republicans. And he was effective because he understood the system.
We're expecting Jason in the studio sometime today. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and then Jason, he won't pat himself on the back, so I'll pat him on the back. But he had Jason replaced through organization and money, and the first thing his replacement did was to change the structure of the black and Hispanic caucus. Number one, there would be no more Hispanics. And then number two, he would have honorary black members who would outnumber, honorary white members who would outnumber the black people. Now that should tell black folks, if y'all ignorant enough, to not
honorary.
He would put white people in the black caucus, and they would outnumber. They would outnumber the black people. We exposed that, so they had to back down. But
actually,
can't nobody
the
deny
caucus
that happened.
Dismantled
Right, as a result of that.
Yes.
They wouldn't let in the Spanish anyway.
And you're happy about it.
It's going to be some really conflicting agendas in there.
Exactly.
Right. But they were,
They even allowed it.
Yeah. Right. It's like, my late son, transferred, gave up a basketball scholarship, transferred to Lake Forest College because he wanted to teach. And eventually earned his degree and came back here and taught in the schools that he had been a student in. But when he got to Lake Forest College, which was essentially a lot of rich white folks, Mr. T had his daughter there, that kind of stuff. He found out there was a white guy heading up the Black Student Union. So he immediately organized all the black students, and they took over what was already theirs. And he became the head. And then he had me and other people going down there educating these rich, upper middle class black students on how to be black.
Right.
You know, that whole thing.
So
and then before he left.
The article.
Okay. Yeah, that's why these colors turned out to be so hard. So anyway, Chris Abley, as I said, wanted to be the conductor. So he does all this manipulation.
Not Chris Abley.
Larson was trying to be the conductor.
That's what I mean. Larson wants to be the conductor. And so he's manipulated, and he didn't feel that his kingdom was large enough at the state level. Now, ultimately, he wants to be the governor. Right? I got to understand that. You know, the first thing he did when he was named minority leader of all the Democrats was removed from joint finance the only black member.
And
Lena
the ranking member, Senator Lena Taylor.
So right now, now Larson doesn't come from Milwaukee, he comes from the South Side where we marched to desegregate when I was a child. So we know some of their attitudes. This is the first time there is no Milwaukee member on Milwaukee's the largest city,
but
right?
No
Milwaukee.
Members from Milwaukee.
This is Chris Larson. This is his agenda. So he's quietly making deals too. He always talks about Republicans, but he's making his own deal, all up under this title of progressive.
So,
I
Mike,
let
me interject for 1 second. I want to ask you a question. So, there are people that will call in and say, you know what? That happened X amount of years ago, and what do that got to do with the race? What do that got to do with the race today? And what do that got to do with now? Yeah, he did that, but so what? That's in the past. Can you tell the significance of why that's important to remember that he did that?
Well, number one, it showed clearly how much power he had over black elected officials. That this white guy can dictate to them, and they follow his agenda. Number two, the city of Milwaukee has suffered ever since then for the last 3 years because we have no one speaking for us. The only first-class city in this state, we have nobody speaking for us. How much funding has gone, CYD has gone under since then. That should tell you something. Before that, it was OIC. When we had people on joint finance, that's the budget writing committee. Funds that would come to the black community for self-improvement, for black empowerment are now gone. Now this guy, Larson, wants to enlarge his scope. He wants to take over the county. He helped some of the supervisors get in there, black supervisors, so they're beholden to him. Now he wants to expand that and get one or two, aldermen in there. He wants his own fight. He wants to be the king. And then with that power base, he can become the governor. But trust me, as Raheem has said repeatedly, don't nobody care about us but us. And if we naively follow their agenda, we can't follow our own. Our agenda should be about black empowerment, controlling the institutions in our community, not these white folks. In 1964, LBJ, the president, signed this executive order and there's war on poverty. Same time, right after he signed the Civil Rights Act. So here we are 50 years later, and they have spent like $5 trillion. Where's that money gone on the war on poverty? We just as poor. The black poverty rate was 36% then. When Obama took office, it was 38%. Today it's 42%. And in Milwaukee, it's worse than that. They get all these trillions of dollars to these organizations like Acorn, which incidentally Obama used to work for, which is a white poverty organization, comes in the black community. I remember when Howard Fuller, and all this ties into the county. Howard Fuller was the head of the Department of Social Services for the county. They had like a $5 million grant to deal with teen pregnancy. A suburban group got the grant, right? So Howard Fuller said no. So he went to CYD and other organizations and said, y'all have to bid on this grant. Because the interesting thing about the white organization, they didn't want to, they were afraid to come into the community, so they was subcontracting a black organization to do the work. Unfortunately, the black organizations weren't together enough to write their own proposal, so they lost it. That's what you're going to see in the future if Chris Larson gets in there. All the money going to go to the white groups.
Okay, we'll take a call. Let me take this call, and then I really want you to weigh in because that's something that you've been talking about, exactly what he hit on. Caller, thank you for holding. Do you have a question or a comment?
I'll be on my good behavior.
Oh, my.
I have a comment. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, greetings to you all. Assalamu alaikum. Hotep.
Wa alaikum salam.
What's going on and all that.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, too, the awesome brother Michael Holt, thank you for restarting your fire and being a thunderous bolt of lightning to shock people back into reality as to what is actually going on. And the first time when that man, Mr. Larson, disrespected Lena Taylor and the way that he had addressed her, and it had gotten out in our people who are present, and they did not remind him that he does not have that ability to, and he cannot get away with that. By him doing that, that should have let us know what type of person he is. He's like the second or third coming of Scott Walker, a wannabe. He's an opportunist. He thinks that we're stupid enough to just say that he can say anything to us and give his gap tooth smile and his pale-faced self and say that, here's my group of Negroes. They approve of me, so why don't the rest of you Negroes get on board? The Negro train. And that's what they think. They think we're so dumb and so inobservant of the obvious that we don't know night from day. And we can't play this game anymore. I'm not supposed to be involved in no politics, and I don't. And I probably shouldn't be speaking out. But I voted. I didn't vote for Chris Larson. I voted mostly for a lot of females. I love the females. And I love our sisters.
Okay, that's a
Can't
different
go wrong
show.
there, brother.
That's a different show.
Can't go wrong.
Thank you,
Michael
caller.
Holt, awesome. Welcome back.
Okay. Raheem, I know you wanted to make a point before we went to the caller. And the next caller, if you'll just hold, I'll be with you shortly. Go ahead.
Well, I think that Mike is talking about really a playbook that's been used a number of different times. And you got to really be careful under the guise of, liberalism. People who fundamentally believe that they could do for us what we must do for ourselves. And I'm all for, getting the support of anybody, white, black, green, purple. Don't make a difference. But I think what Mike is getting to is what the core beliefs of people. What are their core beliefs? And they really, one of the core beliefs is that there is a subservient role that black people must play, and then there's a supremacist role that white people must play. And when you see that playbook, what you're really seeing is you're uncovering or unpacking a mind that you're fighting. Unfortunately, we're fighting, and at the same time, these people are playing for keeps.
Yep.
But it's playing, and unfortunately, because of our history in this country, we're not as knowledgeable about the institution of Americanism and its infrastructure and how it's played up, including the politics. We're still behind. So let's be very clear. So somebody can come to us and they can almost sell us in almost anything, with the exception of some people who have knowledge and can see right through it and see this is just another playbook. The other issue is that I had never heard about organizing, really the concept of organizing, until I heard the Barack Obama and him being an organizer. But I've actually switched my entire career to be an organizer, but a real organizer, not under the ACORN or the special interest group, the organizing of the black community. And organizing on behalf of the black community and the interests of the black community. Because what I've seen is these national organizing, do-good, liberal organizations, they come up with these special interests, and at the end of the day, they come in and they represent and come in and sometimes they have black people in the front of those situations come implode the very thing that's necessary that we need on a local level. So I've now come to understand the value of organizing, but we must organize. We must have our own agenda to be able to compete against some of these these mad situations where these people have these grabs and these political grabs. You have these egos, and they're just operating from their agenda. And again, the fundamental issue is that they really think that we're inferior.
Absolutely. And I appreciate the brother who called. Where I was going when I was mentioning Polly and laid up in the hospital is that...
Okay, the polls closed at 8, and we got to get Malala in for an interview.
No, you
go
keep going, Mike.
I made it through that, and I've run into, seriously, at least a half a dozen ministers who have told me that they were praying for me. Seemed like everybody in the country was praying for me.
That's good.
And so, when I went into the hospital, I really didn't believe in prayer. I'll be honest with you. I left, I believed in prayer because they prayed me through something. And some people now call me a miracle child. And, I kind of looked at that whole episode as, these ministers said, God wasn't ready for you yet. You're supposed to do something. I looked at the whole episode as God slapping me upside the head. Because, my laptop was writing columns without me. I was writing all, humorous columns and doing all this stuff. And that's not how I earned my reputation. I used to jump out here and I was always talking about a third political party, a black party, exclusive to black folks. I had Chief Harold Bryant stopping me every 15 minutes. I was the only person on my block to get tickets because I was always railing against, police brutality and the Ernie Lacy situation and all of that kind of stuff, pushing school choice. And y'all can't even imagine what I went through over school choice because the teachers union boycotted some of my advertisers who almost lost the paper. I got threats from black folks about that because it was about the union and adults and not about the kids. So we went through all of this stuff. And I think I started kind of like slowing down somewhat. I wanted to hand off this baton. So God took me, shook me up real good, and said, get your black behind back out there and do what you've been doing that got you here. So now I told people when I got to the hospital, I'm starting to name names. Mandela Barnes, if you listen, I'm starting to tell people, y'all get, you're either for us or against us. There is no political parties as far as I'm concerned. They're different wings on the same bird. If you're not doing something positive for the community, like the brother said, if y'all want to be a bunch of Negroes, be a bunch of Negroes. But don't stop our freedom train and our agenda. So I'm going to keep railing because that experience also taught me you never know when they're going to snatch it from you. So you better say it now. So you're right. As long as I got breath, brother, I'm going to be beating people's behind. This week I'm talking about police brutality, and I'm naming some names. Jackie Ford, Christian McKissick, Ernie Lacy. Y'all don't even know how we got here and why these cops are stopping you. Outside your tinted windows, you ain't got no license plates. You got to play loud music. But there's a reason why they act the way they act. And I'm going to explain it to you this week.
One of the things you mentioned about kind of from a historical perspective is that you talk about the agenda. We have yet to rally around an economic agenda. If you listen to the plight of black people over the last 35, 40 years, because I think on the heels of the end of the life of Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King, he was moving towards an economic agenda. You had the Nation of Islam early talking about an economic, but it was a narrow approach. It wasn't. It wasn't inclusive. In fact, very restrictive. So you had to almost go through that process to benefit from the. So it was very narrow. But since then, we haven't had any real conversation. We're talking about police brutality and education. We talk about everything, mass incarceration. We talk about everything except an economic agenda. So under the economic agenda we've been talking about, and I heard you talk about 1984 and then 1996, 97, kind of a national conference. And so there's been efforts along the last 25, 30 years to talk about the kind of the agenda for the African American community. But it goes back to there's a fundamental thing that must be fought and waged and won, and that is the concept that we don't need nobody to do anything for us.
Right.
When it comes down to the areas that are important to us, we can do those things ourselves. What we're challenged in this country is the belief that, one, even when there's opportunities created, like, for example, diversity. At one point, diversity was African American. I mean, I don't think it was. Now it actually includes white women.
No, it includes anybody but us.
It includes everybody but white men.
Oh, okay.
But the same effect. Basically, it got so watered down to the point where. But how did it get watered down? It got watered down under a belief and a concept that others gravitated to it to create legislation to undermine the concept of the original affirmative actions.
Right.
All right? But, so it basically said that there was an uneven playing field. We're going to now try to correct it. But so embedded in that concept is that we must be able to do things for ourselves. And so who should be providing our education? Who should be providing our social services? Whatever it is that we're doing that impacts us, fundamental to our agenda has to be that black people have to be in charge. So that right there is going to be a major fight, because the white liberal, no, they
don't want to give it up.
No. They be like, I done took my children. I done had 2-3 generations. I done sent to law school. I done sent to medical school on the backs of our people. And because I actually believe that now let me just picture this here. Imagine, the Asian community, the Chinese community had issues like we had. And I, as a black man now, I'm going to go to Chinatown and going to lead the effort to help the Chinese. Picture that, visual. So how is that accepted for us to come into our community and literally lead the effort as if they're helping us? Right. We don't need that kind of help. What we need is the access to opportunity. We need access to equal opportunity, and we could do it for ourselves. We could do it for ourselves. We don't need nobody to do it for us. We could do it for ourselves, and that's got to be a fundamental pillar for the fight that we must wage in order for us to get our economic agenda passed.
We are going to pay some bills and take a break. When we come back on the other side, we have Alderwoman Malele A. Cogs in the studio with us, the only woman currently sitting on the Common Council in Milwaukee. She is
a couple of the women
on the Common Council.
Yeah.
Don't.
Anyway,
I'm going.
Female.
I'm like, did something happen I didn't know about? Okay.
It did.
Clearly, I missed that one. It must have. So we're going to pay.
We live in an age of Jenner.
Another show.
Caitlin.
Okay, we're going to take a break, pay some bills. We encourage you to still call in. Caller, thank you for holding.
Right.
We will get to you on
era,
the other
right?
side. You're listening to Your Vote is Your Voice on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. Welcome back to Your Vote is Your Voice here exclusively on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. We have in the studio with us Michael Holt, Raheem Islam, I'm Ptosha Davis, and we also are so excited to have Alderwoman Malele A. Cogs joining us. You look tired, Malele, but you know what? You're in the home stretch right now. How's it going?
It's going all right. But it ain't over till 8 p.m. when the polls close. And if they close while you in line, stay there. Because if you got there before 8, you should still be able to cast your ballot.
Okay. And so how's it looking out there?
Yeah, it's looking good. It's like really high turnout.
I know. That's what we've been hearing. People have been calling in much higher than expected or than we were told it was going to be. And I think some of that was to defer us from coming out to vote. But we know I've been seeing you everywhere. You got some exciting things happening because even though you're running for re-election, you still actually are working as the alderwoman, correct?
Yeah, so it's funny, running for the job while you actually have to still do the job. So yeah, definitely. We most recently just announced that Pete's Fruit Market, which people might know from 16th and Greenfield, is coming to Bronzeville. And the location that formerly was the old Walgreens on King Drive and North Avenue. Y'all might remember a couple years back, we had an owner who said they were going to bring a grocery store, but then try to flip it to a Dollar Tree. And with the collaborative efforts of the community and the stakeholders and me, we were able to, push back on that and fight for and work for what the community was promised and what they demanded. So I'm excited, about Pete's coming to the community. They're committed to hiring from the community. Vanguard Development Group, an African American owned development group, will be developing the space, and JCP Construction, an African American owned construction company, will be constructing the space, and both of them are also committed to hiring from the community. So I see this as a win-win. Plus, it's a food desert over there, so far as healthy foods and all of that. And for those who know Pete's, it's rare places that you would find with more fruits and vegetables.
They have
offering.
everything. Raheem, you will absolutely love Pete's. They have everything.
I love that, but I love more the black developer and the black contractor.
Mm-hmm.
Now that goes back to fundamental. If you're going to do things in our community, we could do those things,
right?
And so there is a general belief that others can do it for us.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give you this. Well, no. I remember Kenny Gamble telling me that when he was writing songs, so that the white people in the industry would say to him, "Oh no, don't worry about the publishing. We'll handle the publishing."
Mm-hmm.
Now he's the number.
Don't you
one,
worry yourself about that.
He's the number one rhythm and blues publisher in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And had he listened to them,
right? But that was the general. When you, as a songwriter coming in, they would basically steer you into a direction because you didn't know,
right?
Or just a general belief that they could do better.
Right.
But we have to be able to, and thank God that the alderwoman is here, who's actually can not only help implement our agenda, is this now fight for that attitude, number one. But at the end of the day, there's concrete legislation or concrete support that can make that happen. So we're really thankful for that. That's big news.
And along those lines, in the last 8 years that I've had the pleasure and honor of being a representative for the 6th District, we've had about $140 million worth of development. A huge percentage of that has been developed by, at least in part, African American developers. Wilford Sanders from MLK EDC and the whole King Commons movement is a transformation of blocks and blocks within the district that was led, by him and the EDC. He recently passed away not too long ago, so that's going to be an unfortunate loss. But the EDC is still there, and they're still moving forward. But everything from Moore's Development, Vanguard, a whole slew of African Americans have developed within the district. So it's kind of, you look at that number and it's like, well, what impact has that had for our community? What I have found with African American developers is that hiring and that use of small businesses owned by people in the community is far greater when the developer is African American.
Now, I saw an article today
it's a no-brainer.
About something on 4th and Meineke. Is that within your district too?
Yeah, the old Ace Hardware, as people might remember, it closed, I believe, in November. So it's been bought by some private developers who plan to develop it, I believe, into some apartments with some commercial space at the base, which will have a restaurant in it as well.
So this is what we were talking about when we were talking about your district in Bronzeville being right there on the edge of where all this development is taking place for the Bucks Arena. Mm-hmm. And that is a prime example right there. Yeah. That's part of your district and that is now currently being developed.
It's at least about 4 or 5 major projects on the table now for the district, many of which are being done by African American developers between where the Bucks development is up until Bronzeville, or a little bit outside of Bronzeville too. So it's definitely it's spurring. The Bucks development is spurring a lot of development. And I think contrary to what some people may have thought, because we always fear gentrification or that kind of thing, I'm seeing a large percentage of African Americans being involved in this development at high levels. So I'm happy to see, and a lot of them own businesses within the district as well. JCP Construction is on King Drive. It's in the 6th District. The owners were raised in the 6th District. So it's like this is some for real, like, community connections to at least some of what's going on
homegrown.
Now.
Right.
Yeah,
we have a caller that's been holding. Thank you, caller, for holding. You have a question or a comment?
Both. This is Jason Fields. Hey, Tosh.
I thought you was coming in. Thank you. You want to hire me for one of your 18 companies?
I gotta make money, man. And to Alderwoman Malele Cox, that's a great job. Those guys are all good guys. People don't know that. I mean, those brothers, great brothers. Mm-hmm. I was there at their office opening, and Kaylin and I are fraternity brothers. So it's all good. But here, my question is directly towards and I guess all of you can answer it. And Mike, I think you know, and Ptosha, you know, and I think Alderwoman, you know how passionate I am about MBE requirements and all the level of governments that we have. And yet we're passing that, we're leaving billions of dollars on the table. And when I bring it up to certain people, certain elected officials, I don't get the response that I should get. I continue to get the blown off answer. Well, we'll look into it. And then I don't see, with maybe the exception of you, Malele, and maybe a few others, I don't see nobody on the state level doing it or talking about it. $48 million contract for a lottery, doing a lottery. Nobody's talking about it.
Oh, yeah, you've been talking about that for some time, Jason.
Right. Here's the only problem about that, Tosh. I ain't in office.
Well, guess what? You really don't need to be in office. In fact,
you really don't.
No, in fact, I think that the energy has to come outside of office. There has to be some kind of evaluation of how the state spends its money, how the county spends its money, how the city spends its money, how the large nonprofits spend their money, how does the private sector spend their money. Because you can best believe we are contributing to the contribution to the customer base of all these entities. And yet you have to look at, well, what's the reciprocal relationship, economic relationship, in jobs and contracts. But guess what? There has to be a private sector approach to do that. This is what I believe that's missing from handling that. That's why we're not getting the kind of traction. The politicians, when they get in office, and good politicians, when they get in office, is just being leaders. Is going to zap out a lot of your time and energy because you're fighting ideas and concepts that are foreign or even negative against our community. So, it's very difficult for them to not only navigate the political realm, fight for the leadership within that political realm, architect legislation, get that legislation passed, and at the end of the day, it actually impacts our community. So there's a lot of work that they have to do as individuals. And then one of the things I heard you say earlier, Mike, was about the whole unity caucus. Sometimes they working against each other.
Yeah.
Black elected officials are not working together. And as a result, like this, they might not be not working against each other, but they're not working together.
And Jason was one of the original members of the most recent Unity Caucus and Black Caucus.
And so, Jason, the only thing I'm just saying is that energy has to come from outside of the elected official. That's it.
And that's at the top of my agenda, to bring that back into being and name names. If somebody doesn't want to participate, they don't want to follow the agenda, I'm going to have their name on the front page of the paper the following week. I've already talked to, and I'm sure Malele will join in with me on this. I've already talked to Russell Stamper and some other folks, and we're going back to this whole thing about the MBE. I was on the Milwaukee Brewers baseball stadium board, Miller Park board. And I was asked to join, and I replaced Ulyss Payne, a dynamic brother in the business world. And I told him the only way I would go on there, I was going to work for black folks getting their share of money, and that was my sole priority. I didn't really even care about none of the rest of the stuff. Spencer introduced legislation.
You didn't care about the tickets?
The parking tickets they gave me, so they wouldn't even reimburse me for those. But Spencer introduced a bill that was probably the most far-reaching MBE bill in the country. We did 25%. Minority business participation, not women, not Hispanics. We did 25%. Unfortunately, that bill, sunsetted.
Right.
I have a group of us have met with Russell Stamper, and I read something that had Malele's name on it. We asked Russell to go back over the last, secure all the records from the city, go back over the last 10 years. Milwaukee is the only city of its size where black people are the largest ethnic group in this city. We don't even have an MBE program here. We had an emerging business program here. Excuse me. The Hispanic Chamber sued
the city
and won. Yep. And the mayor dropped it. We have nothing here.
Which is my issue with him, and I got to be honest.
Yep.
I don't know
and
why black folks vote for him.
You know,
you can't tell me nothing about Tom there. Tom,
well, I know you
Tom.
know, Jason.
Y'all know I worked with him before.
Here's what I would say to that. It shouldn't have stopped there. Because
we should. I'm still advocating for it.
No, not you as an individual. As a representative of our community, there has to be a much more larger representative. Just like we talk about the Black Caucus, the Unity Caucus, there has to be a Unity Caucus outside of government. And so when the mayor, when the challenge gets all the way up there, and the mayor decide we could take that to not only we could take that to the state Supreme Court, and if we don't win there, we take it to the federal Supreme Court. It should never have been taken off the table, and when it's taken off the table, it's our responsibility.
So on the Milwaukee on the city side, we have what's called SBE, the Small Business Enterprise Situation, which is not race based, which is not gender based. We did do a disparity study, like Michael Holt was saying, that allowed us to be race specific, and we started the EBE program, the Emerging Business Program. We were sued by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and settled. So as a result, we no longer have the EBE. It all had to get switched back to SBE. But even with that, and prior to us switching to EBE, we passed a MORE ordinance, which at least for projects that have $1 million of assistance from the city or more, they have to meet several different requirements, and one of them is the 25% for SBE. It is still a desire amongst many of us members to push forward to get a more race-based, very specific program. To gain, but if we're real about politics, you need the votes to get it done or whatever.
Right.
And to gain the confidence of our colleagues, it probably will take another study from a more legitimized company than the one.
Yeah, y'all hired an out-of-state company. Because I'd be quite honest. With David Stokes, who used to be participation manager from Milwaukee County, he and I, since I was the head of MBE for the stadium, we formed a little LLC and bid on the disparity study. And you know what they did? They gave it to an out-of-state company that did nothing but say, everything's okay in Milwaukee. And so now we need another study. And what I'm saying is, you know, when we got school choice together, we had an army of parents who attended all these meetings. We put kids behind black representatives in Madison who opposed to it because the Democratic Party told them to. And so they looked at these little kids. I remember, we went up to the houses of state representatives who had to cast a vote on the north and south side and rung their bell and talked about burning Klan, uniforms and masks in front of their lawns.
Okay,
so we called them a bunch of racists.
Hey, look, I remember that, Mike.
We need to do some of this again. And what I'm saying is, unless we can really, like Raheem says, our problem is rooted in the fact that every other community around here supports itself, supports its businesses. Black dollars in our community touch one black hand and leave our community.
And it's gone.
If they touch three black hands, that's why these construction firms are so important. Three black hands. The bank I banked at is now closed, the Black Bank.
Right.
But they made it two black hands. If they play an account, there was three black hands. Right. But, we got to wake up not only our politicians to what needs to be done, but ourselves. Because I was marching in front of Beauty Island on Fond du Lac Avenue when the Korean called the black sister a B and knocked her down, and she was pregnant. So a group of us boycotted. Tay Jew organized it. This one black woman was going to run us down to get in there? I got to get my weed from the Koreans because that dog hair that they sell is better than the dog hair that the brothers sell. But also the problem was we went to some black beauty suppliers after that and said, y'all need to form a co-op so you can lower your prices.
Right.
They told us where to go. They told us where to go.
Speaking of that, though, I would say real quickly that I'm a believer that in the coming years we will have a race-based program at the city through whatever. If we do a disparity study or we just push people to the point where they got to vote for it, I believe it's going to happen. It's enough will for us to push it, and with the community support, it can happen. So having said that, the other piece is this: we got to begin to have real conversations with ourselves about being prepared for it once it happens. And two things that I would recommend for people interested in business and people who have businesses are this: be ready to for the capacity that you might have to have in order to do some of these contracts. If that means partnering with another African American owned company so that y'all have the ability to cover whatever it is that you're going to. Some of the best stuff with the Marquette Interchange and a lot of the stuff that that Spencer was able to do legislatively, the black contracts that were let, is because companies came together to be able to get capacity. Those contracts. People got to be ready to do that so that that capacity is there. So that cannot be used as an excuse why they couldn't get it. That's one. The second thing is this: we should begin to do some forecasting for the categories of bids that come out on a lot of these contracts. Because the other thing that often happens is they say, well, there is no minority person who does elevators. There is no minority person who does. Those end up being a huge chunk of the whole thing. It's like, well, if we know that now and we know that people always need an elevator, then maybe some people should be looking to get together to make an elevator company. You know what I'm saying?
And I think all the women, that's the reason why there has to be an independent infrastructure to do that. You just described a significant amount of work that needs to be done. And also, Mike, to your point about the MBE, SBE, WB, whatever, what's missing?
Whatever
also,
BE.
What's missing is a basic common language that we can all agree to. And we have to determine what is the actual spend. What is the actual spend? What is the actual amount that's spent with our community? Then we have to set goals, and those goals can't be there. You just mentioned about at least two that are commonplace amongst public all across the country. One, when they do disparity studies, they take out areas where we don't even have business, we don't even compete with, and then two, you talked about the issue of capacity. Well, guess what? None of these issues, and this is just one area, economics. This is just one area that we must be focused on. We have to be focusing on a number of different areas, including this area.
Right.
But clearly, though, the question is who can handle and undertake that kind of workload?
But here, I agree with that.
All I'm saying is that it got to be you, got to be me, got to be Mike, it got to be everybody who got a conscious mind can sit around the table and have these kind of thoughts and have this kind of thing as our agenda. And then that becomes the thing. And the challenge for us is getting us to the table. That's it. That's the real challenge.
Jason, we have to take a break. You going to hang out on the other side with us?
No, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys finish doing your stuff. Just real quick, though. So I believe and I accept and understand that. So whenever y'all want me, just holler. I'm there. But,
I'm hollering.
Y'all silly. The last
Mike, we said it at the same time, right?
When we talk about it, we used to get the answers, well, we didn't find any black companies. Okay, I dealt with that for 8 years. It's been 5 years now that I'm out of office. We have black companies that can do this stuff. I've brought technical black companies. I brought technical
Jason,
money managers.
But let me tell you something. Even if that... We got problems before we even get there that we have to address first. And so, we're going to deal with the issue of the capacity issue and where we work and where we're not. And like the alderwoman said, that we should be looking at where are the opportunities. And we should be thinking about how do we form and create capacity to deal with the opportunities that are coming down the pike. But the bottom line is that what we get many times, in my humble opinion, we get sidetracked and distracted by point number 2 and 3 and 4 and not focusing on number 1. We're going to have to win number 1. And number 1 is that we have to reconcile between these different sectors in this area and reconcile how much is actually being spent and then how much is being spent with us and why. And then set goals that are based on the disparities, but guess what? That's where the fight is going to take place, right there and there. Mm-hmm. You just finished saying there is no race-based approaches right now. Well, guess what? That's what we have to rumble. That's the first fight we're going to have to take on.
Okay, Jason, I'm not going to ask you if you're going to hang around. We're going to go to break.
I'm out.
Because you started a whole nother discussion. We're going to go pay some bills. We're going to come back on the other side. You're listening to Your Vote is Your Voice on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. Welcome back to Your Vote is Your Voice here on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. We are so happy. Sappy. That's I guess I don't know what that means. We're happy to be here in the studio today. Please call us. We know we have some callers on the line. Thank you for holding. We'll take the first caller now. You have a question or a comment?
Yes. Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you for holding.
Thank you for having this discussion, and I want to say good evening to all of those in the studio. I think this conversation that you guys are having is of the utmost importance, and this type of conversation is something that we need on a regular basis. It would be great to have another talk show that focuses just on financing and business and stuff like that by NOV. Because to me, the community is going to have to be groomed, and we need to understand the lingo. I'm sitting here and I'm writing down. I don't know what an SBE is and an MBE and all that. So I'm listening, but I'm not really able to follow everything that's being said. You know, some of what you're saying is like going over my head because I don't understand what the abbreviations are. And so I think when we're talking about these things, they need to be laid out for someone like me, of layman, and to continue to hear these this vocabulary on and on again, because that's what grooming is about. We need to learn the lingo. We need to know the vocabulary and what it means and how to apply it. And so for those like the auto woman, when you guys are doing legislation that the community understands, and then we can support and back up when suits are happening and all that. So I really appreciate you guys having this deep discussion and what can be done, like I said, in order to have a type of ongoing, even if it's once a week, type of conversation about business and finances. And Jason, you too. So that's my question for the tape.
Thank you, caller. Well, the first thing that has to happen, Mr. Jones and 860 AM WNOV have the radio station here, and they have lights on, the air and the heat is on, the panels are working, and they have to pay those bills. So what we need is for people like yourself or businesses or other people who understand and believe in the importance of getting this information out. We need people to buy airtime, to sponsor radio shows, to come on. Today, Mr. Jones and the management here is footing the bill for us to be on for 8 hours today. Nobody else is sponsoring it. No special group from outside the community, no special interest group. It's being done because he and his staff believe in the importance of getting this information out to the community. So people always call in and say, Raheem has a show on Mondays and Fridays from 3 to 5. Sherwin is on Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. And Eric Vaughn is on every day, Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. But people need to support the radio station. They need to buy ads. They need to find out what it is that they can do so that we can continue to have this voice, the only black voice here in the state of Wisconsin that has been here, and we so much appreciate it. So thank you, caller, for calling in, for listening, and hopefully you can share that information with others. We have another caller holding. Caller, thank you for holding. You have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I have a comment. I hear Islam talking. He's a very brilliant guy. He's saying a lot of good things, but I'd like to ask him, what is he doing about what is he doing about it? What's going on? What's happening here? And what is he doing that I might want to be a part of it? I mean, you guys are right across from Lena's there in the dollar store. Did you have a vote drive? Have you taken any people out to vote? Have you got folk out to vote? Have you set up any vans? As far as the money's concerned, It's not illegal to take donations over the air as long as it's not in a payola form through that would violate any FCC. So why aren't people donating or asking to participate? That way we don't lose a station like this, and the money would probably come in overwhelmingly. If you just had a penny drive, it would do miraculously wonders. Just a penny drive, which everybody would give over a penny, but to get things going there and secure yourself a cushion over at WNOV. I mean, I hear people talking, and they're relaxed, and they're saying all these great things, but what do you do about it? We lost the Holocaust Museum down there. What do we do about it? I mean, we can sit here and talk about, I've took a bunch of people out to vote.
Let me answer you. I got your point.
Okay, listen, hold on. I've worked the polls. I want to know
I
what
got
do you
your
do
point.
about it?
Well, you said it 4 times. Let me answer you. Can I answer you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, give me a minute. I'll tell you. Because I've been working for the last 4 years just in Milwaukee alone. And a lot of the things that we're doing is under the ground. It's foundation work. You just can't jump up and start trying to do this kind of systemic change the systemic issues by marching and rallying. You gotta understand these systems. You gotta bring people together around a common core. So what I've been doing for the last 4 years is meeting with the leaders in Milwaukee, the black leaders, the private sector leaders, the content specialists, those who are actually in the business of doing the things that we need. And I've been trying to get them to come together around the table together under a structure that we could probably do 3 things right now. One is create an economic agenda that's tied to a political agenda. Second is to create a cultural and education agenda. And so most of my work right now has been in that area, in addition to my day job. My day job is to perfect and now teach and educate almost 1,200 students here in Milwaukee, that we're also growing, expanding different schools, because at the end of the day, when the time is ready, we want to put in play an infrastructure, an education infrastructure from soup to nuts, from early child education to adult education that can be put in play to the delivery of any kind of solution we come up as a collective. In addition to that, I mean, first of all, that's enough. And then in addition to that, I've been planning and strategizing and building infrastructure, and we're ready to launch this year the Milwaukee Community of Leaders. And in the Milwaukee Community of Leaders, we're going to do a number of those different things. But one of the first things that had to be done is to get people to agree to want to work with each other. Now, not everybody's going to do it, but there's at least a critical mass of leaders that can come together. And I don't want everybody to get twisted and throw it off by the word leader, because anybody who's out there in the trying to fight on our behalf, whether they be in government, whether they be grassroots individuals, whether they be in education or whatever area field that they're in, they're all focusing or trying to deal with the issues that we are impacted by as an African American community. Our problem is that we're not divided, we are just disconnected. And so our goal and my goal with the Milwaukee Community of Leaders is to connect some of those dots so that we can be much more effective, and we have a strategy to deal with both inside and outside strategy to deal with some of these issues. So we've been extremely busy, I would say. But again, not on the typical go punch somebody in the face, take over City Hall, march down the street. No, we've been doing it quietly, strategically, understanding these issues and being able to now address issues not for today, but for tomorrow. And this is very important, a very different paradigm shift, because most of us want immediate gratification. We want to change 400 years of oppression today. It ain't going to happen. It hasn't happened yet, and it won't happen until we've mustered and aggregated our resources and come at this thing in the most strategic and tactical way possible. And that means aggregating our capacity and aggregating our resources, our talent, and our talent that we have in our community who knows what they're doing but have been doing it for other people.
And while he's doing that, I'm throwing the rocks. I'm trying to take
and
over
guess
City
what?
Hall.
And
I'm
we
shaking
need that.
those trees,
right?
And giving people
work together.
And we work together.
Platform. a historical platform so you can understand where we came from and how we in this mess.
Critical.
And I'm going to keep hammering.
Okay, I want to get the Alderwoman has to get back out on the campaign trail, but I know she wanted to share something before she left.
I love this conversation, though, man. If it wasn't election day, I would stay here. But everything they're saying is exactly right. You know, to cut the meat up, sometimes you need the butcher, sometimes you need the surgeon, but you need them both to really get to what this community needs. So it's good to hear those different strategies. I just want to say, you know, today is election day. If people haven't voted, they should vote. If they need information on where to vote, call 286-VOTE. That's 286-VOTE to find out. Additionally, if you live in the 6th district and you need a ride to the polls, you can give me a call at 414-218-2639. Once again, that's 414-218-2639. Again, polls close at 8 o'clock. Bring your ID with you. If you're in line at 8 o'clock, you shouldn't get turned away. And if you see any irregularities at the polls, please let us know. And I want to thank NOV for allowing me the opportunity to come on here, not just today, but so many days, to share the good news and information. A lot of times we concentrate on the negative and the bad statistics, but I think in the conversation you hear today and in the messages that you hear, it's a lot of great stuff going on, and it's even greater that we can have going on if more people get to work. So speaking on that, I got to get to work, and I'm hoping people get out and vote for me so I can continue to work in this capacity. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
You got it.
And I think that the other thing that that I want to kind of respond back to the gentleman who called earlier, just before the Alderwoman started to speak, was we really appreciate you, Alderwoman Coggs. You are absolutely not only a leader in our community, but also you're going to be here, God willing, for a long time to help us to liberation. That's the goal. One of the other things that I do, in addition to volunteering my time, 2 days a week I do a radio show. No matter where I'm at in the country, where I'm at, whether I'm in Philadelphia, where I'm in New York, where I'm in Dallas, I don't care where I'm at. I'm going to be committed to doing a radio show to talk about our issues. Now, from a different perspective. So that's a significant commitment that I've made. In addition, I write in several newspapers, and I write an article, as Mike says, extremely lengthy and extremely long. But I am not writing because it is the topic of the day. It is the topic of the day, tomorrow, and going forward. And that is, how did we get in this mess? We cannot expect to get out of this if we don't know how we got in this mess. And the people who are trying to get us to forget about our past are our enemies. It is in their best interest that we get away from our past, because they participated in this, orchestrated in this demise of our people, and keep us on our backs. So if you don't understand that, you don't know the games that are being played that Mike is talking about. You won't know those games because you don't know. Your information level on our community is about a 1 on a scale of 1 to 100. You got a 1. The question you got to ask yourself, where did you even get that information from? It's not enough for you to defend yourself. So I write, I talk, I preach, I go around and speak everywhere I can to get the message out. So that's what we doing, brother. So you can book it that I spend most of my waking hours on this issue of fighting for our people. And I'm not bragging. In fact, I wish I didn't even have it in me, because this is a pain. This is a burden. To everything around me is a burden. It's an absolute struggle. But guess what? I don't have no choice. Because just like you said, you were shaken in your situation, Mike. You was talking about how you had come through the ranks and your purpose of life, and then you fell ill. And you felt that it was a sign from God for you to get back on track, to do what you do best. Attack these people. Attack this black inferiority. Attack white supremacy for what it is. Attack it. And the way we're going to attack it, we write about it. We talk about it. we also building infrastructure to do something about it.
One of the things I'm gonna let you finish off before we go to the last break for this hour, Mike. But one of the things, and Raheem won't talk about this, but I will, is he has not just dropped out of the sky to the city to try and organize it. He has stakes rooted here. We have 4 schools, 3 campuses. His company, which he is the president of, Universal Companies, has poured millions of dollars into having schools here in the community that are run by blacks, black leadership, and that when the young people come in every day, that's what they see when they come into it. And it's because of the legislation that Polly did that we're able to have these schools here, currently up to 4 schools now. And also, you know, the amount of money that you poured into the buildings, especially the Lee building, which was just sitting there dormant and closed, to pour over $1 million back into the community and use a black contractor once again. So those are the things that I know you won't talk about because it's just, for you, part of doing business, but it's what people need to know. It's the things that you all were talking about with Alderwoman Coggs about how we build capacity. And we have to figure out how it is that we employ people that look like us, how it is that we work together, and how it is that we create more businesses so that we can employ more people, so that we can do all the things that you've been fighting for all these years, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and people don't really understand what's going on. You know, so we got to educate. Sure. They say you got to tell somebody a name 5 times in order before they actually it penetrates and they actually remember. And we have to keep saying sometimes the same thing over and over again. As Raheem said, the history is extremely important. You know, we didn't fight all these years to get black representation for some white guy named Chris Larson to come around here and corrupt it. You know, we still fighting to get them to understand what they should be doing, and he's dictating, and they following a totally different agenda. But so people understand, let me give you a little example of what we're going through when we talk about capacity and getting business and the city's role in that. Several years ago, there was a group. It was a second group that came about that was trying to build a black African Community Center in Milwaukee. Everybody acknowledged we need one. We take all our money outside our community because we don't have anything here. Maybe you got the African American Women's Center, but you know, a place like the Italian Community Center. There was the opportunity to get a grant from the city. And I remember Tyrone Dumas was heading up this effort at the time. So it came before this committee at the city. And I think we were only 35% of the city's population at the time. And there's one alderman, a white alderman, an Italian alderman. I'll never forget this. He wasn't on the committee, but he wanted to speak. He stood there and stated, because I wrote the story about it after I got over my shock. He stated, we should not get that grant because if you gave the black folks the grant, they would conceivably build this African American Community Center, and then they would stop going to the Italian Community Center.
Wow.
And the committee voted it down.
Wow. Is that blatant?
As blatant as you can get. And if that didn't wake up folks, nothing will. And he was just being honest.
Right. Right.
He was protecting his community and his interests. Now we got somebody today who wants to do the same thing. But he want to be a little more secretive about it. He want to put black folks to stand up and say, we shouldn't have a black community center because we're in a post-racial society and stuff. Yeah. And that's this Larson guy. You know, and like I said, I wrote about it, and I've been on TV and I've criticized Abley. This, to me, is not about Abley. You know, his record is better than what folks think it is. You know, he's been criticized for the wrong stuff. And one of the things Larson is a liar, you know. And people misconstrued when I said the greatest trick that the devil ever played was convince people he didn't exist. And that was in the article about Larson. I wasn't calling him the devil, but y'all can take it for what it's
well,
worth.
It's a parable, because the same thing you said, one of the greatest tricks that's played right now to say we living in a post-racial society.
Right, and we care about you.
Right,
because black people will tap dance about any white person who said they like us.
Well, it's once you buy, so you could buy into that when you don't know who you're dealing with. You could buy into that when you don't understand the struggles that we've had. Why is it that we've been why were we enslaved for over 300 years? We didn't commit a crime. We weren't captives of war. We weren't prisoners of war. We were hijacked out of a country for over 300 years and dealt a way that's not even, they won't even speak about it. Not for 10 years or 15 years. Not for one generation or two generations, for 300 generations. For 300 years and over 20 generations. Then you put us out, you emancipate us, and you buy into the concept they emancipated us for to free the slave, which is nothing further from the truth. It was an unintended consequence to keep this union together that we were freed. So we were freed, but they threw everything but the kitchen sink at us. For over 100 years, we were on our back. We were very weak, coming out of an oppressive situation, and all of a sudden we're freed. And then next thing you know, the KKK comes, Jim Crow laws, lynching comes, discrimination at the highest level comes. Up until 100 years later, we're able to get some kind of relief with legislation that just allows us to be viewed as just equal, even though just because it's on paper don't mean it's going to make anything. It took us at least another 15, 20 years to get some traction out of that legislation, only for them to morph that legislation, to undermine that legislation till we have right now. And every demographic you can look at right now in the black community has gotten worse over the last 50 years. Why? Because there's a mind out there that actually exists. That mind is about white supremacy and black inferiority. So if you don't know that, you'll go for anything. And you won't be able to see and decipher racism coming up to you or ignorance coming up to you, because it'll be packaged in a nice little package. But at the end of the day, it's nonsense inside.
We have to take a break and pay some bills. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for these 2 hours. I know y'all just getting warmed up. You're like, it's time to wrap up.
I was trying to be like nice this show. You know what I mean?
But y'all know, I know.
I'm with this brother here. He just, you're right. So we like.
Because you get more fire than I do.
No, because
we'll just have to have him on the show with you. How about that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No. In fact, I just really respect you so much, and thank you for all the work you've done in our community, continue to do, and the fight you have. The fight though has to be, we have to be aligned. We got to have, the guy who can, the
butcher and the surgeon.
Exactly. You got to have it all.
Which one am
I?
You the butcher.
It depends. No. It depends. No, it depends. It depends on
the situation. What we
go in. You the good guy, I'm the bad guy. I come in there. I'm the bad guy. You the good guy. We got to win no matter what, and we got to prevail as black people. That's what we got to do. We got to win, and we got to stop all the nonsense. We're not going to get there. There's no cavalry going to come to save us. So when we wake up and realize that we got to save ourselves, it means I got to work with Mike, and Mike got to work with me, and others. We got to work together in order for us to advance our community and our people. End the story.
Okay.
End the story.
End the story. Period. Point blank.
What else do I use?
Exclamation point.
Okay, we're going to pay some bills so that I can make sure we can come back.
Thank you.
And we want to thank you for listening. We will be back on the other side of the break. Callers, if you'll just hold on for a minute, we will catch you on the other side. You're listening to Your Vote is Your Voice on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice.
They might be old and white, but Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders just want to be one thing: down. Why?
They want the black vote.
Thanks, Producer Brooke. Yes, the black vote. That mythical orb that contains the desires of every black American that, once in a candidate's clutches, will render them politically invincible forever. I mean, it's pretty important. No other voting bloc has gotten candidates to carry around an urban dictionary over the Constitution. Am I staying woke? I don't even know what this means. I am already awake. Or get a candidate to whip and nay-nay.
Stop.
Yes, it's a mad dash to show voters who's more committed to racial justice, which, thanks to the Black Lives Matter movement calling out police brutality and the unfair criminal justice systems that have destroyed black communities, is now one of the biggest issues of this Democratic primary. Meanwhile, the Republicans have barely said a thing.
Guess it's just not a platform point on Planet Douche.
Okay,
yeah, on your reality TV show, not in
Thank you for the book, Donald. Thank you for the book.
And the who's who of the black political and entertainment worlds are picking their sides.
I truly believe that Senator Bernie Sanders is the right man to lead this country.
If you want to make sure Republicans don't take us backward, help Hillary move us forward.
But who's got the better record? As a New York senator, Hillary has represented more African Americans than there are people in Vermont, Bernie's home state. In the 60s, Hillary organized a 2-day strike on Wellesley campus to recruit more black students and professors. And Bernie Sanders was arrested protesting segregationist policies in Chicago. And in the 80s, he supported another outsider's historic run for the presidency, Jesse Jackson. Jackson, who is still undecided on who he will back.
Ooh, feel that burn.
But then we have Hill's husband. As president, Bill enacted some of the harshest reforms to the criminal justice system. Strict sentencing, 3 strikes laws, basically expanding the prison industrial complex. And while Hillary is not her husband, even though being a former first lady has totally been the springboard of her political career, she did back him on a 1994 crime bill, saying that some black youth are
super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel.
Since then, both Clintons have walked back on their support of tough-on-crime bills. It turns out that Bernie Sanders actually voted for the bill, though he had reservations. But he did vote against another Clinton legacy that was disastrous for poor people and people of color: welfare reform.
In many respects, our country is becoming a poorer and poorer nation. And not to talk about the causes of poverty is absolutely absurd.
He was right to hate the legislation. It cut $54 billion in funding from welfare and limited the time people could be on it. A recent study found that between 1996 and 2011, the number of families living on $2 a day more than doubled. Fast forward to today. Both Bernie and Hillary have had speeches interrupted by Black Lives Matter protesters, and both have set up meetings with organizers. They've also both outlined bold plans to end mass incarceration and police misconduct. In the end, race is a bigger issue in this election than it was when a black man was front runner.
Thanks, Obama.
So who's going to win over the black vote? And more importantly, who's going to stay woke?
Welcome back to your vote. Our vote, your vote is your voice. We are going, it's getting that time. We are going into the last 3 hours.
Man, it's almost out. Oh, I'm sorry.
That would be Michelle. That would be Michelle.
Oh, it's almost over.
That would be Michelle.
Whose idea was this?
That would be Michelle Naked Truth Bryant.
I told y'all. Rear end is too wide to have a name like Butt Naked anything.
I agree.
And then we have LaToya.
Can't fit my
your
jeans.
toy.
Eating extra cake
in the studio as well. Callers, we apologize. We had that clip.
Okay, wait.
At the front of we didn't
need to class it up. Yes. Wanda Montgomery just came in.
Wanda Montgomery just walked in the door.
So we need to ask some class.
Welcome everyone. We have Wanda
everyone.
Your vote is your voice. Our special election edition.
We are being joined.
We are. We do have a caller that's been holding. Thank you, caller. We're gonna take while Wanda prepares and gets her glasses out and her pearls and her notebook. We're gonna take this call. Caller, thank you so much for holding. You have a question or a comment? Can you turn your radio down a little bit?
Yes, I will. Hold on for 1 second, please.
We can't hear you, sir. Can you turn your radio down?
Yes.
Sorry, we're a little bit giddy. We've been here for a few hours.
I just want to say I went out and voted today, and I encourage everybody else to go out and vote.
Okay, do you know what number you were when you voted?
I do not. I do not.
Okay, but thank you for calling in.
Wait.
Where did you vote at?
I voted on 36 in Hope.
36 and Hope. Okay.
No, What's the name of the facility?
I just moved over here and I don't know the name of it.
Oh, okay, because you was sounding suspect. We was about to come to your house.
Oh, okay, you can come.
That will be Michelle that's coming to your house.
I'm just saying, some folks just want to get in when they fit in talking about I voted and don't have no information.
Yeah, I got that. I just moved over here.
Did you get the little
All right, well, we going to roll with you then. Thank you so much for letting us know you got out there.
Yes,
thank you. All right, sisters.
We have another caller. Caller, thank you for calling in. You have a question or a comment?
Hey, how you doing?
We're good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Just voted.
All right. Yes. What number were you? At what ward?
Ward 42, 337.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Somebody with some facts and some data.
And what's the polling place?
He said 22.
42.
No, where at?
Where? We need a structure.
Lancaster.
Oh, Lancaster. Okay.
Was it still crowded in there? Were there people still there?
It is still crowded in there.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, in about 5 minutes they should be at 400.
Nice.
What?
Yeah.
How long did you stand in line?
I was in line probably for like 2 minutes. It went fast.
It went fast?
Awesome.
Really fast.
All right, so you're our new hero, unlike the last brother who didn't have no information. We just want you to know we love you right about now.
Love you too.
All right.
Thank you.
Could you do my favor for me?
What's that?
Tell Chevy Johnson to get his folks off the corner.
Oh, wait a minute. What corner? Is that by a polling location?
Yes, they are holding up the sign for him.
Oh, what location? That's critical information.
Definitely. Now, where are we talking? What location?
Ward 42.
Ward 42.
Yeah,
and what was the name of the place?
School.
Lancaster School, Ward 42. There are one of the candidates is holding up signs.
People.
Not the candidate,
One of the candidates' people are holding up signs to encourage people to vote for that candidate.
And this is a candidate who knows better.
Yes.
I know his staff should know better. We got folks out on the street that we know are listening right now. We'll make sure that Commissioner Stephanie Finley also becomes aware of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Speaking of that, we have a situation that's brewing over in Waukesha. We found out that Donald Trump, was actually greeting people within, they believe, 100 feet of the polling location, which is illegal. Yes. And you got to love it because somebody had it on video on their cell phone. And so the Government Accountability Board has dispatched somebody out there, has already been in touch with Trump's campaign. For folks who were listening early this morning, I think, let me see, how does Stephanie Finley say that? You going to jail.
I ain't playing today.
I ain't got time. You going to jail.
But he is the exception.
So I just got a text back. They got that information.
Okay.
And they are on it. Our people in the field. So just guys, let you know, this isn't just something we just came into, studio. We've met and there's some planning. We got people out in the field who are reporting back. We definitely have the gangster Stephanie Finley out there, making sure she's showing up wherever.
Can we not refer to the chair of the election commission as the gangster? I mean, we all know that she's the gangster, but let's not refer to her in that capacity.
I don't even want you to come in here fake like that right now. Wanda Montgomery, it is so nice to have you in the studio with us.
She just whipped her hair in my eye. I mean, like, for real?
Well, I guess when I look around the room, I do have some hair to whip.
Oh!
I felt that.
This is a hairstyle.
Right. It is a hairstyle.
Yeah, trying to act like I'm bald head. This is a hairstyle.
No, you just... Somebody started it. I stopped by to just bring some calm.
Oh, okay.
Because I've been listening off and on.
And how is it?
You was listening for the last 2 hours. You should be calm.
Well, I've been listening since this morning.
Really?
I've been listening all day.
I wasn't here.
And
I just got here too.
Really?
Okay, ladies, we have
but this has been an exciting day.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's take the next caller, please.
Who put her in charge?
Caller, thank you for holding. You have a question or a comment. That was Latoya Sykes who
Hello?
brought you in. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, y'all, I've been waiting. Anyway, how you doing, Latoya?
I'm well.
And
Thank
tell
you.
Wanda I need some lunch tomorrow. It's Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy, I was just
And I'm throwing you guys a shout out. You know, I'm about to get off work, but I'm listening to you guys and, you know, see you guys all the time. And guess what I didn't do today?
I know you're not
gonna say
you didn't go vote.
You already know I'm going to vote at Washington Park Library, but I said let me do a little something different today. Let me go ahead and go to work and then slip on in there about 6 o'clock because I'm always there the first 10 or 12. But I just want to see if the black African Americans know what today is and they get out and vote.
Black African Americans?
Just like President Obama. There's no way in the world. I had to wait an hour and a half. I almost cried in my eyes for the people to get out that particular day. I got individuals in my district that doesn't know Alderman Stamper is running. I got people that doesn't know about the Supreme Court. I got people that doesn't even know about county exec. And they talking about ignorance, it lies right there. Hey, there go my ride. You guys take care. Love you.
Okay, Jimmy. Thanks
Thank
for calling.
you. We have another caller on the line. Caller.
Wait, can we back up? Did he say there go my ride and y'all ignorant
And black African Americans.
But we appreciate it though. Go ahead, guys.
Thank you, caller, for holding. You have a question or a comment?
I'm gonna get in here real quick. You know, I was out doing some stuff in the neighborhood, you know, and I came across Madison High School Academy and cars everywhere. You know, I voted earlier down at Richard Kluger.
All right.
Cars everywhere. So
Wonderful.
you know, they got a full house over there.
Yes.
But I know Ptosha's there. I know Michelle's there. So I wanted to say, Michelle, get with Donna. You got my home number. Catch up with me when it warm up some. The wash and wax is on me. We'll slam some wings.
All right, you know what?
I know you ain't taking no check home, so this
Thank
is on
you
me.
for the dating game.
We
Here on
appreciate
860 AM,
it. Thank you so much.
WNOV, The Voice.
I'll let y'all run with it. Okay, so get with me. You got my home number.
All right, that
right,
sounds
get
like a
with me.
plan.
Be
Thank you
blessed.
so
Love
much.
y'all.
Yeah, no, I haven't come back because
No, I was talking about the home number.
Oh,
Yeah.
the home number.
That
Oh,
was too much information.
you know what? Whatever. Just so right.
We have another caller. Caller, thank you for holding. You have a question or a comment?
A comment. I'm glad I didn't have to hold long. I'm honored to say hello to everybody. And I just spoke with Michael Holt for a few minutes right outside your studio to let him know how much I love him and his information. And I voted this morning at St. Mark. I was number 2.
All right.
Awesome.
Yes, and I just left a few minutes ago, and they're at 480 people.
Woo!
Yes, I was so excited to see that. And my daughter voted at MPS today, and she was 235.
What time did she vote?
I'm not sure, but it was before 3 o'clock, or
Okay.
maybe somewhere in there. And like I told Mr. Holt, I said, I didn't want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't usually get up that early to vote. But I stopped myself. I said, hold on. What did the people before me go through to give us this right? And I got up proudly and stood. I was the first in line at St. Mark and went and voted. And I've just been happy and proud all day. And I've been listening to you all day. You all are wonderful, and I love WNOV.
Thank you, and we love you too. And thank
Thank
you
you.
for voting. Thank you for calling in to share that information with us. We greatly appreciate it. And we want to make sure that everyone that is listening, if you voted, please give us a call, 444-5250, 444-5250. You can let us know what number you were at the poll, if there were any irregularities. The gentleman just happened to, by chance, mention to us that there was one candidate who had some of his people out in front of a polling location, which, depending on how close they were, is illegal. So that
Donald Trump.
So that's specific information. We need that type of information so that we can get it to the people out in the field. So, Ms. Montgomery.
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome. We've
Could
missed
you
you.
stop putting your hair in my eye?
She is still in here whipping her hair.
For real.
All I have to
Go
say
ahead
to
and
the
do
listening,
nay-nay next.
no, I don't do the nay-nay. I'm
Michelle,
just
this
sharing
is
with
class.
the listening audience that I got to squeeze in here. You got some powerful women in this room, and since I'm the senior, I just come in and try and fit my way in.
Did you just drop the mic?
She dropped the mic.
I'm the senior.
I'm the senior. Boom.
Am I the senior?
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See how they say yes, ma'am?
So could you take the callers, ma'am?
Yes. We have a call. See what I said, caller?
Yes. I was just calling to say I was number 559 at Ward 46.
And where's that located?
It's off Hampton, off Congress. Off Congress. I think it's 35th and Congress, I believe.
You just voted?
Yes.
And you were 559?
559.
I think that's some celebration.
All right.
Thank you so much.
I have a caller. I have a question for you, caller, before you hang up. Have you voted in the past?
Yes.
And how have the numbers been? Do you recall in the past?
I can't recall, but I do have something I want to ask. Or why is there a lot of single names? Because I didn't vote for those people because I didn't know.
People that were running unopposed on the ballot. Most of the judicial races, a lot of those judges didn't have opponents. That's what that was.
And the city attorney, I don't think, had an opponent. So
right, and the county comptroller. So some of those folks that you saw just single names, they didn't have an opponent.
Oh, okay. Because I heard a couple other people was as they was at the booth, and they was wondering the same thing. So okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that answer.
Thank you for voting. We have another caller.
Hello.
Hi. Go ahead, caller.
I voted this morning. I was number 58 at Washington High School.
All right.
What time was that?
I was Ward 154. My husband voted. He was 59, ticket number 59.
All right now.
You have a blessed day. Thank you, dear.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'm loving our folks calling in with these numbers.
Yes.
Absolutely. It is exciting. I mean, the buzz is in the air. People are voting. As we say, one voice or your voice, your vote.
Your vote is your
having a
voice.
Senior moment.
And the reason I'm saying that is because I'm also looking at an article that I printed off from yesterday, the Supreme Court. And the title of the article is One Person, One Vote, Case Upheld. Right. And so the Supreme Court was listening to a case as it related to whether or not in the different cities, if legislative district lines, if the way they counted votes, I believe, if it was through legislative district lines or total population, and the vote was 8-0, that it would be total population.
Right. This was about the new redistricting laws, Evanwell versus Abbott. And they wanted to, there was a guy who is known as like one of the key white nationalists, for lack of a better way to say it, guys.
We have one of our candidates on the phone.
Oh, okay. Oh, we got Shantia?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Shantia.
I know.
I'm sorry, Michelle.
Y'all stopping me like she Michelle Obama or somebody.
I know, wait. And then I forgot that there was caller ID, so I'm like, how do y'all know it was me? I didn't say my name.
Yeah, I mean, interrupted me like for real. Whatever you calling about better be good.
Apologize. Hello, ladies. Hello.
What's happening, Shantia?
And I called in this morning, and for those of you who don't know, my name is Shantia Lewis. I'm running to be the alderwoman in the 9th District, which is the Northridge area. But I just wanted to call and check in because I called this morning and kind of let you all know about the shenanigans that were happening. And we still are having those shenanigans, but we're moving forward. And so what that made me do was kind of, go around and just kind of look and make sure I didn't see my opponent, but then I also making sure that the lines were looking good. And so I wanted to call in and just give our numbers.
Go ahead.
So Kluge is a part of my district. I think I heard it earlier. Somebody said it was Joe Davis. That's actually my district. So if you're voting in Kluge, you're voting for myself or my opponent. But these numbers are well over 1,000.
Wow.
We tallied. We have 1,245 at Clara Barton, over 2,000 at Webster, and so we have a total of 2,035.
Wow.
The last time we went and got a tally. And then there's a total of over 5,000 votes that has come in already, and it's only a little over 5 o'clock. So I'm really excited. I'm nervous, but excited.
Wow.
About those numbers. We've surpassed our primary votes. And so it's looking really good. 3 more hours left. I'm really proud of my district that they're getting out and that they're voting. Not necessarily saying they're voting for me, although I hope they are. But this is a wonderful surprise. So I just wanted to call that in.
Well, thank you so much for calling and sharing that information. We definitely appreciate it. We're going to move to take a quick break. Thank you for listening to a special election edition of Your Vote is Your Voice. Please give us a call back at 414-444-5250. Again, thanks for listening to WNOV 860 AM, The Voice.